The number one question that I receive is, will masturbating negatively impact my recovery? Now, the answer to that question is that it depends, okay? It depends on, firstly, your level of addiction. Secondly, how long you've stayed off porn and masturbation. Thirdly, your beliefs about sex and masturbation. And fourth, your biochemistry. And all four factors must be taken into consideration before you make a decision on masturbation during your recovery. And I'm going to take some time to address them today because it really does deserve an in-depth breakdown, an in-depth explanation. So the first is your level of addiction. Now, the level of your addiction plays a role in determining when you can masturbate during recovery. And if you aren't sure what your level is, I highly recommend watching my video on the levels of porn addiction. It's also called Why Is It So Hard to Quit Porn? And if you are at a level 5 and above, masturbation is going to hurt your recovery because your addiction at this point, you're using it to medicate your pain. So your pain could be strong emotions, it could be deep unresolved issues, it could be loneliness or stress. And masturbation is an entrenched part of your addiction cycle. So stopping your porn use might make you feel good, but you'll still keep those neural pathways firing when you masturbate to medicate some kind of pain during your recovery. That's when you're off pornography. This means that your brain won't rewire and you will not reboot. The second is how long you've stayed off porn and masturbation. Now, we're talking about time here. And while I'm on the subject of time, it would be very helpful to mention that your concept of time as a man who is struggling with this behavior, with porn and masturbation, is skewed. It means it's wrong. Now, do you ever wonder why even after years of relapses, and you make a strong determination not to relapse, you still relapse? And after all the pain from your past relapses should have been enough warning to alert you to the fact that watching is going to lead to shame, guilt, depression, low self-esteem, and so on. So here's why you seem to forget your pain. And I talked about this in an earlier video, but the part of your brain responsible for your addiction is called your midbrain. And it's also the most ancient part of your brain. And it's the part of your brain which is responsible for your survival. You know, sex, hunger, violence, escaping threats, things that require quick, large doses of brain chemicals. That's neurotransmitters. But here's the thing, your midbrain's memory sucks, okay? It evolved for the most primal of functions, to eat, to have sex, to procreate, to escape danger, that kind of thing. It did not evolve to store complex information. It just follows its instinct like the animal that it is. So when you get bored or stressed or lonely and expose it to multiple tube clips, you know, moving from MILF to anal to stepmom to gangbang to whatever else you watch over a 2-hour period, it gets trained to react to that sort of stimuli. And that is all it is. That is all it remembers. It's not concerned about how bad or how terrible you feel after acting out. Because as far as it's concerned, you are alone, so it has done its job. And this is why you never seem to feel the pain emotionally when you are about to relapse. And the part of your brain that makes the logical decisions is called your neocortex. Now, you know on a logical level that you're going to feel pain, but that doesn't matter because you've trained your midbrain harder than you've trained your neocortex. So a good recovery system, like what I do with my clients, is to train you how to easily give your neocortex power over your midbrain. So with that being said, if you haven't stayed off porn and masturbation for a minimum of 90 days and found alternative ways to handle the pain that your midbrain is reacting to, you are going to slip again to pornography. Okay? Now, if you're medicating some sort of pain and do not develop coping skills for it during those 90 days, my suggestion is to extend that time frame until you've demonstrated some sort of competence in dealing with stress, in dealing with loneliness, in dealing with strong emotions, and any other deeper issue you have or trauma. Now, there are men who can masturbate once in a while after a 90-day period, The first group are my 90-day reboot coaching clients who have been off porn, not just 90 days, but they've put 6 more months on that. And men who are not medicating pain with porn and just have a compulsive problem with porn due to overexposure to high-speed internet. And this is more common for men under the age of 25. So the more years you are over 25 and struggling with porn, the higher your chance of medicating with porn. And if you're 32, I'll just tell you, you're most likely medicating something, okay? So this data is gleaned from over 2,000 Porn Reboot course students and over 500 clients that I've worked with one-on-one. The third is your beliefs about sex and masturbation. Now, if you are not having sex due to your religious beliefs, due to trauma such as sexual abuse, age, or your inability to do so, that means extreme social anxiety, mental illness, some bullshit beliefs about your attractiveness or what it takes to attract women. Go back to number 2 and listen to it again. Now, if your religious beliefs are holding you back, stay off porn for 90 days and develop coping skills for your pain. If masturbation is a sin for you, there's nothing wrong with that, but I suggest you seek counseling because many times that is your unresolved issue. The pain and guilt will keep being medicated by your midbrain. So be very discerning though when seeking help. Be very careful. There are many professionals out there who are going to take advantage of your deep guilt because of your religion, and then they keep you coming back over and over again to work with them, and then you're 6 months into this thing and nothing has happened, nothing has changed. Personally, I turn down many religious men who reach out to help because while many of you guys are really cool guys and your lives are in order, sometimes your shame and guilt is just the number one thing holding you back. And this can really be fixed by developing coping skills and deep self-reflection on your marriage if you're married, okay? But if you are not married, okay, don't get married to fix your addiction. It doesn't work. Religious-based recovery counseling and groups oftentimes make this worse, and they can drag these men to the depths of depression. So always seek a science-based system via a counselor, coach, or recovery group first before you run to religion. And this is a brain thing before it's a religious thing. And what's the proof? Well, the proof is I'm not religious and I have the highest success rates when coaching pastors and religious leaders than anyone else out there. When they're finally in control of their sexual behavior, I simply hand them back to Jesus. Now, if you have experienced sexual abuse or anything related, you must seek therapy in addition to coaching because there are some deeper issues there. Now, if you have a problem with dating, if you're too young to have sex, please go back to number 2. Please don't email me asking for help because I cannot legally help you. I do have a free course. I have age-appropriate YouTube videos, and there are numerous forums for you out there on the internet. I also have videos on how to speak to your parents or guardians about your problem. Now, if you have social anxiety and you're a grown-ass man, manage it. Seriously. I didn't say fix it, I said manage it. Manage it to the point that you can go on a date with women. And I say this because I personally struggled with social anxiety, which really messed me up for years. And even today, as an introvert, if I spend too much time in my offices just speaking to clients, shooting videos, recording podcasts, and doing research, my social anxiety levels are prone to rise. And this is why I try to be very proactive about live group coaching, about speaking publicly and traveling as much as I can to manage that area of my life. This never goes away, we just have to keep trying to manage it. Now, if you feel that you are unattractive, it's a combination of 2 things, brothers. It's poor self-image and ignorance. Every man has something about him that is attractive. If you're overweight, lose weight no matter what. There has never been so many resources on losing weight available in the history of mankind. It's 100% your fault if you're overweight. If you look like an average, low testosterone, boring guy, then fix that and become a slightly above average testosterone, interesting guy. And you can do this by simple things. Get a cool haircut, get your testosterone levels checked. Seriously, some of you are depressed because your testosterone levels are low. And there's a link to the at-home test that I use in the description below. Get fit, go to the gym, wear fitting clothes, develop interesting non-nerdy habits that women find attractive. Music, martial arts, travel, dance, the list goes on. I had to put down the video game controller. I had to give up World of Warcraft and turn down my nerd vibe, in order to have healthy sex on a regular basis. And if you struggle with a diagnosed mental illness, it's not a sexual death sentence. Embrace it. I have family members who struggle with severe mental illness, but have still found love and success in spite of it. So if your medications are ruining your sex drive, speak to your doctor about your need to fix your social and sex life in a healthy way and let him know that it can't happen if your sex drive is non-existent. This leads us to the final consideration in if you should masturbate while in recovery, and that's your biochemistry. Now, when you struggle with a compulsive sexual behavior, certain chemicals in your body are involved. And you know that you are dependent on some of these chemicals when you either become very tolerant of them in high amounts or you experience withdrawal when they are taken away from you. Withdrawal is simply your body and brain's readjustments to the removal of a substance or some sort of stimuli which has a significant effect on your body. You must understand your unique biochemistry when quitting porn and masturbation addiction. And everyone reacts differently. I'll use myself as an example. Now, personally, during my recovery, when I stayed off porn but masturbated even once, I would become extremely demotivated, literally from 10 over 10 to 4 over 10 in motivation within a few hours. So I experimented and I tried masturbating again without porn after 4 months. And this time, guys, I went from 10 over 10 to freaking 2 over 10 in motivation. I didn't want to do anything except play video games and watch movies. And I experienced a serious and long-lasting, the key word is long-lasting, drop in my dopamine levels whenever I masturbated. So that was my unique biochemical response in recovery as a porn addict. So that was when I decided to give up masturbation for good. And guys, this was 2007, 2008. So this may not be the case for you. You may experience a drop in energy and feel just fine the next day. And if you find that that's the case for you, go back in this video to point number 2 and watch it again. Your diet, your sleep schedule, and your lifestyle also plays a huge role in your recovery. So if you abuse alcohol, if you smoke, if you live off fast food and sugar, your recovery will always be harder compared to the man who drinks alcohol in moderation or not at all, who doesn't smoke, who eats clean, and who maintains a consistent sleep schedule. So that's it, guys. I could have given you some cookie cutter answers to that question, to whether you can masturbate while trying to quit pornography. But unlike other people out there, I understand that every man's situation is absolutely different. You cannot apply a template to somebody's addiction.